Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a shoemaker named Elias. Elias was a middle-aged man with graying hair, a short beard. It was Christmas Eve, and while the rest of the village prepared for celebrations, Elias stood alone in his small wooden workshop, staring at the last piece of leather on his workbench. The shelves around him were bare. "Is this all we have left?" Marta asked, stepping beside him. Elias nodded. One final piece of leather, barely enough for a single pair of shoes. Together, they spread the leather flat on the scarred wooden workbench. Elias arranged his tools beside it. Needles, thread, his sharpest knife. Everything sat ready for the morning's work. When the last candle went out, they closed the workshop door and walked home through the falling snow, leaving everything behind. The workshop sat empty. Moonlight poured through the frosted windows. Silence settled over the shop. Then, just after midnight, something happened. The door opened, and two small figures slipped inside. Now, these weren't ordinary visitors. These were elves, real elves. The first was Pip, a small elf with messy auburn hair. The second was Rowan, slightly taller than Pip, with neat auburn hair. He carried a small notebook. Pip jumped onto the workbench first, his eyes going wide. "Rowan, look at this place. Someone here really needs help." Rowan climbed up beside him and studied the leather with careful eyes. "Then we'd better get to work." Pip's fingers flew across the leather, cutting and stitching. Rowan hammered tiny nails into soles, each tap releasing a small golden spark. They moved like they'd been crafting shoes together for 100 years. The leather bent exactly where it needed to. The stitches locked tight and perfect. The shoes began to take shape. Not just any shoes, but the most beautiful pair that workshop had ever seen. Pip and Rowan stepped back. The shoes gleamed on the workbench. "Perfect," Pip whispered, grinning from ear to ear. Rowan smiled. "Time to go." Elias opened his workshop door that Christmas morning. He stopped. There, sitting on his workbench, was a finished pair of shoes. "Marta!" His voice shook. "Marta, look at this!" She pushed past him and gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "But we didn't. How did... I don't know." He placed the shoes in the shop window, and before the church bells rang for Christmas service, a merchant's wife had bought them for 3 times what Elias would have asked. That night, Elias laid fresh leather pieces on the workbench. He didn't cut them. He didn't prepare them. He just left them there. The next morning brought 2 new pairs of perfect shoes. The morning after that brought 4 pairs. Word spread through the village. People came from neighboring towns. Customers filled his shop daily. The empty shelves began to fill with shoes. Laughter echoed where there had been silence. Warmth replaced worry. But one question haunted Elias and Marta. Who was making these miraculous shoes? On the 7th night, they decided to find out. They hid behind the storage shelves in the corner of the workshop, waiting in the darkness. Midnight came. The door creaked open. Pip and Rowan entered the workshop, and Elias and Marta watched as the 2 elves worked. Every careful stitch, every movement, their hands creating beauty. When the elves finished and slipped away into the winter night, Marta was crying. "They saved us," she whispered. "They asked for nothing. They just helped us." Elias nodded. Finally, he said, "Then we must give them something in return." Marta spent the next 2 days sewing. She made tiny clothes, tunics, vests, hats, and scarves. She used her finest fabric and poured her gratitude into every stitch. When she finished, Elias laid the clothes carefully on the workbench, where the leather usually waited. That night, they hid again. Pip arrived first and froze. "Rowan." His voice cracked. "Rowan, come look." Rowan climbed up and picked up the vest, his eyes wide as he ran his fingers over the stitching. "They made these for us." Pip grabbed the tunic and pulled it on, spinning in a circle. "It fits, Rowan. It fits perfectly." Rowan dressed more slowly, but his face showed the same wonder. He straightened his vest and touched the fabric. For a moment, neither elf spoke. They just stood there, wearing their gifts. He couldn't see them in the darkness, but he bowed anyway, deep and respectful. Rowan raised his hand in a wave, his eyes shining. "Our work here is done," Rowan said quietly to Pip. Pip nodded, understanding. "They don't need us anymore. They have hope now." The two elves walked to the door and stepped out into the winter night. The latch clicked shut. They never returned. Elias and Marta came out from their hiding place. The workshop felt different now. Not magical, but full, complete. "Will they come back?" Marta asked. "No," Elias said, picking up his tools. "But they gave us something better than magic. They gave us the belief that we could succeed again." And so the shoemaker's workshop thrived. Day after day, Elias worked at his bench. Marta welcomed customers. The shelves stayed full of shoes. The hearth burned bright every evening. Children pressed their noses against the window to watch the shoemaker at work, and their parents bought shoes that would last for years. The elves never returned to that workshop, but their gift remained. Not in enchanted shoes or midnight miracles, but in something simpler. The understanding that kindness given freely can change everything. That hope can be restored. That sometimes, when things seem darkest, help arrives from unexpected places. On quiet winter nights, Elias would stand at his workbench and remember. He would think about two elves with messy hair and neat vests working by moonlight. He would smile, knowing that somewhere, Pip and Rowan were probably helping someone else who had lost their way. And he would whisper a quiet thank you into the darkness, grateful for the Christmas miracle that had saved not just his workshop, but his heart. That was the greatest magic of all.
If you loved this story, subscribe to our channel for more magical fairy tale adventures. And keep the magic alive. Until next time, my friends.